Hey guys, it's me, Nia. I'm back. I know it's definitely been a while. I got really busy. I didn't realize that people were telling the truth when they said that, junior year is going to be the most difficult year of high school. I was like, oh, they're messing with me, and they were not messing with me. Believe people when they tell you life's going to be difficult. Anyway, I'm here today to review a show that I've been really interested in for a while called One of Us is Lying on Peacock. Now, I have been really interested in the book. It was one of my, go-to little mystery books when I was like, I'm bored and I want to read something. And seeing the trailer on YouTube, I was like, wow, this interests me for a number of reasons. Many of them being the fact that it is so wrong. Like, maybe not the story, but just looking at the casting, I was wondering how they're gonna pull off a show with characters that all look like they're in the mid-30s. So I am here today to talk about this show. If the big old thing at the very beginning didn't warn you, there's going to be a lot of spoilers, and this is not spoiler-free, so I'm also going to be complaining a lot. If you're looking for the more positive stuff, you can go ahead and skip to this time. Then I will be talking about the more positive things that I actually liked about the show, but I want to complain. So that's what I'm going to start off with. One of Us is Lying follows the story of 4 students who inexplicably, by some strange circumstances, get sent to detention with a kid named Simon, who is the school's known gossip guy. He starts an app called About That shares everyone's secrets. No one knows how he gets them, but everyone knows that they are true, no matter how outlandish they are. If Simon posts them, they are true. So while in detention, Simon gets a glass of water, drinks it, and dies of an allergic reaction. It's very quick, the first chapter happens, 5 people walk into detention, 4 walk out. What follows is a botched investigation. The 4 kids who were in there with them are murder suspects. Secrets get released about all of them that they had tried to keep hidden. Bronwyn cheated in a chemistry class by stealing exam answers. What was Nate's secret? Nate's secret is that, drug dealer guy. In the show, they make it that a girl that he sold to OD'd. Cooper's secret is that he was using that he was using steroids to improve his baseball skills, which turned out not to be true. The secret had been changed, and his actual secret was that he was gay. And then Addy's secret was that she was cheating on her boyfriend Jake with a kid named TJ. All ends up going that Simon came up with an elaborate scheme to commit suicide and take everyone out with him. So he had his friend Janae have all his secrets and post them. Jake helped with it as well. It was just a whole thing that they ended up figuring out at the end. There's a lot of red herrings and things. People are implicated. Nate gets arrested at one point, and Bronwyn helps to get him out of prison in different ways from the book and the show, but it doesn't really matter. He gets out of prison regardless. And yeah, it's just a very interesting story. So now, talk about the characters and how they're different from the book and the show. To start off with, let's talk about Bronwyn, the brain of the group. So I thought that she, aside from the fact that she, no offense to the actress at all, but she did look like she was way too old, ready to get a mortgage type of age, not high schooler. And other than that, I thought she matched her description very well. She was, the brain, she was nerdy, she wanted to get into Yale, that was her whole thing. I loved her style. That's something that will come up when I talk about the positives. She dressed like she was supposed to dress, described in the book. Yeah, like I said, her character was mostly correct. They had her act like she was supposed to do based on what was written in the book. However, there were some parts that I was like, is that really something that Bronwyn would do? For example, her relationship with Maeve, her younger sister, that was something that they completely changed. So, in the book, they have a really good, relationship. They're really close, because Maeve had leukemia and Bronwyn's kind of taken on the responsibility of being the older sibling. However, in the show, they make them really aggressive toward each other. Bronwyn holds everything back from her. They read somewhere in the book that she was protective and said, yes, she doesn't tell her sister anything. And then Maeve is also kind of petulant, if I'm being perfectly honest here. She is trying to get herself into stuff and messing with the things that Bronwyn's trying to work on. It just wasn't quite what was described in the book, and that was kind of frustrating to watch, because you're like, you guys aren't supposed to act like this. What's going on? All that sort of stuff. Also, she was just kind of a bland character without in the books you can read, what's going on in her head and what she's thinking about, and I don't think the writers really did that great of a job of conveying that to television. In a normal book setting, they would have been able to be like, yes, this is what she's thinking, and this is why she's doing this, these are her motivations, but when they're writing it, they didn't really make that clear. They just, she is the smart one. Yeah. And that's it. So, moving on from Bronwyn, moving to her love interest, Nate Macaulay? I think that's right. We'll see. I thought that the actor did very good at acting like Nate. They did a very good job. His characterization was great. My only problem with him was that he did not look anything like Nate was supposed to look like. Like in the book, he's described as lean, having dark hair, I think blue eyes, maybe? But anyway, he was just not, in the show they made him look a lot just like some buff football dude you'd expect to see, Letterman jacket kind of guy. But other than his appearance, I thought he did a really good job playing Nate. He, pulled off the drug dealer just doing it because he has no other way. I loved Stan, how he talked to Stan. That was really accurate to what they had, Nate do in the book. Yeah, really well done other than just the way he looked. Also, there was no romance between him and Bronwyn like there's supposed to be, but I will get to that later, but I just want to say there was no chemistry until the last 3 episodes, and then they're like, yes, they were in love with each other the whole time. No, incorrect. Next up is the group's resident blonde. She was, what you'd expect from a book-to-show adaptation. She looked like her, and she acted mostly like her. There were few little things that they changed over, but other than that, I thought she did okay. I didn't see her as oh, that doesn't really seem like Addie, but again, all the actors look really way too old to be playing high schoolers, and you're gonna hear that a lot from me, but none of them look like they're supposed to be high schoolers. Another thing they changed, there were a couple personality things they actually did change. Instead of, in the book, Addy tells Jake that she cheated on him, right? And then they break up, and after, crying about it, moving on, chopping off all her hair, she moves on and she's done with Jake. She realized how controlling he was and how bad for her he was. In the show, however, they have her with him the entire time. They break up for a little bit, and then Jake's like, oh, I'm sorry. And then she's like, oh, okay, and then get back together until literally the last episode. And that was really frustrating because you're she has this whole character arc where she moves on and becomes independent, becomes her own person. But they kind of took that away, and it was really? Really? Also, she just annoyed me the whole time. She screwed up the entire investigation every time. She's like, yeah, I won't screw it up. She used stronger words than that. And then she would go and obviously show that she was recording or mess up entirely, and it was just not my favorite character, to say the least. I really liked her in the book. The show, she got on my nerves in the show. Finally, the last of our murder club is Cooper. He's the one that they changed the most. Yes, he still plays baseball. Yes, he's still a jock. He's still friends with Jake. But he looks and acts nothing like he's supposed to in the book. There's no southern accent. There's nothing that would say, hey, he moved from Mississippi a year ago and this kid's supposed to be 16, so obviously he's still gonna have an accent from Mississippi. It's just, none of it worked. Also, really minor thing, they made him right-handed, even though it was kind of I feel like there was a good chunk in there. They were talking about how he was left-handed, but his dad made him right with his right hand because he was like, save your left hand for baseball. Yeah, as I throw with my right hand. They also did this whole thing where he had just a whole encrypted file for him, and it was a juvie record where he beat the crap out of a kid, and that was something they just kind of added in. In the book, the encrypted file was how he was gay, not how he beat a kid up. It was just I don't know why they threw it in there, other than to try and throw in another red herring, but it was a very interesting choice, to say the least. And then our final character of discussion is going to be Mr. Simon himself. The omniscient narrator, if you will. In my opinion, Simon was the best character that they did. He looks like he's supposed to, he acts like he's supposed to. They did a really good combination of, little weasel guy who knows all the secrets, but also kind of just a kid who wants to fit in, even though he acts like he doesn't want to fit in. Also, I'll mention some more about style later on, but he his style also works with him because he's, like I said, he doesn't want to be like the kids he's around, but really he is just like them. He wants to be popular and he wants to be liked. Those are the characters. Now I'm going to get into some of the minor differences that really didn't change the story that much, but it was just little things that I feel like they could have changed to make it more, book accurate. Minor changes. About that, the app that Simon creates to, spread gossip, it uses full names, not initials, which I feel like was, kind of the thing with about that, is that it maintained a little bit of mystery, but it was like not outright saying names, because that was the only reason they couldn't shut down, was because they couldn't explicitly say it was about the people at the school. That was just a little thing that I was like, really? They could have, that was such an easy change. That's, it's easier, you write 2 letters instead of a full name, but all the students get like detention for different reasons rather than all having like a phone that's not theirs in their bag. Like Addie has an alarm set on her phone that goes off that she didn't set. Bronwyn does in fact have a phone in her bag. She's the only one. Simon got in a fight with TJ, which is why he got detention. Nate was late to class, I think. Something happened with Cooper. I don't even know what happened with Cooper. I wasn't paying attention. But yeah, it was just a kind of a little thing that I feel like would have been just like, make it more book accurate, be like, they all had phones. Just, again, another little thing. Bronwyn is dating the Evan kid that they talk about briefly in the book. Like, it's a whole thing that they're like dating and then she breaks up with him because he doesn't understand what she's going through. It was just a whole like, added another character just to get some drama in there kind of thing, and it was kind of like, do you need him? Do you need Evan? He talks in a British accent and he is a smart guy, but do you really need him? Kind of thing. Addie doesn't ever dye her hair purple. It's a little thing, but again, it shows her being independent and moving on from dating Jake and becoming her own person and doing what she likes. She does cut her hair, but she never dyes it purple. Just a little characterization thing that would have made her more of a rich character that stood on her own feet instead of just running back to Jake. Like I mentioned earlier, Cooper is right-handed and doesn't ever have a southern accent. Like, I couldn't even tell if they were trying to make him have a southern accent, but he just sounded like he was from California. Vanessa is the one dating TJ, even though in the book TJ isn't dating anyone. And then they try to make her a better person by like saying she had this like tragic she had to get an abortion, hide it from her parents, and she was working with a teacher to help make her life better, and blah 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 blah. I think they should have just let her be a bad person, but whatever. It was a kind of a lazy attempt to make her into a decent person, and I was not a fan, because how do you justify someone literally turning on your friend and trying to destroy their life by saying, oh, I've had it rough? Just not a fan of what they were trying to do there. Cooper's dad knew that he was gay the whole time. Like, they have a whole conversation where they're like, yeah, I kind of suspected after what happened in Mississippi. And you're just like, whoa, what happened in Mississippi? Or that's what they want you to be like. And it takes away a lot of the emotional, like, climax near the end of it, wherein, Cooper's dad finds out and then, like, almost disowns him, except for when Nani's like, no. So it was just a little bit of, like, again, adding more character that they could have had, but they didn't because they were too focused on the mystery part of it, not the characters. And another one about Cooper. Cooper's dad had the heart attack, not Nani. I don't know why they did that. Maybe they didn't, I don't know. I really don't know why they would have had his dad have a heart attack instead of Nani. Maybe to build up the connection between them, or like, I don't know. That one was just a weird one that they just changed for some reason. Who knows? In the detention room, instead of being distracted, like having to run out of the window because of a wreck, they are distracted by some streakers from the college. It was just a little thing. That one really didn't matter or change the story at all. It was just like, oh, okay. That was a funky little change there. Bronwyn's parents, they changed their personalities. From what I understood in the book, they were, a little bit overbearing because they wanted her to do well, but once she told them, hey, I'm struggling and all that sort of stuff, and she wants to help her friends, they're like, okay, we understand, and you work to be a better person rather than just focus on schoolwork. But in the show, they made them like really pushy and overbearing and being like, no, this is gonna ruin your life, everything, if you don't follow exactly what your lawyer says, and yada yada yada, and just way too much pressure on them. And they also didn't have some of that characterization that they had in the book. I'm gonna say characterization a lot because there was no character in this show. It was bland. No one had personalities. But I digress. Finally, if you read the second book, you know that Maeve has, I don't know if I mentioned, Maeve had leukemia, was recovering from it, and then there was a whole scare that happens in the second book, One of Us is Next, that she thinks have it again. They had that happen in this show, which was an interesting take. They were trying to set up some stuff with Maeve maybe being a suspect, but it didn't work the way that they were trying to, and it was just like, if you've read the next book, you know, hey, that's not supposed to happen. It was just kind of a random piece of drama to add in. Now that we've gotten past the minor parts that didn't really change a lot, let's get to the major plot differences. Oh boy. They made Janae a main character, not just someone who happened to be friends with Simon, who, like, had a little bit of an impact on the main story. She, like, was a part of the crew and would help them with all their stuff and all their adventures. And it was like, she doesn't need to be there. None of them know her. There's a whole thing where Addy threatens her with a knife. It's a whole thing. But it's just like, do you need to be there? Do you really need to be there? Big thing, Jake takes Addy back. The whole point of Jake being a part of the scheme was that he was going to get revenge on Addy and destroy her life, which goes back on the whole purpose. If he takes her back, he makes the first move. He goes out and talks to her. Why would he go out and talk to her if he hates her? In the book, Addy's the one who makes the connection. She tries to go and talk to him and be like, hey, I just wanted to apologize to you. I know that blah, 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 blah. And then he's just like, no, I can't be with you anymore. And that sort of stuff. And she's like, okay, I'm my own person then. And that's like a whole big deal for her to move on. But having him take her back is like, what's the point? What was the point of that whole story? Like, Maeve is a major character. Like, they have her as a suspect to who might have killed Simon. She helps them solve a lot of clues. She is kind of like Janae, where she joins in. She was also apparently, like, kind of dating Simon, kind of liked him, until he ghosted her, which, side note, I hate it when shows written by adults try to use, like, teens slang, because they don't quite know how to use it correctly, so it's just kind of like forcing the conversation, and it's just like, are you sure that's how you want to use that? But anyway, so there's this thing where, like, Maeve and Janae, like, had a thing for Maeve, and they end up together, and it was just kind of a weird random thing that they just kind of chucked in there because they needed more romance. It was like, was that really necessary? I think not. So it's just like, Maeve and Janae became way more important than they really were. This is gonna get me fired up. They changed the whole story. They changed everything. Like I mentioned in the summary, so Simon, in the book, he killed himself. So that was, he wanted to go out with a bang, he wanted to take everyone out around him when he went. In the show, what they did instead was Jake, as an elaborate scheme to get back at Addy for cheating on him, worked with Simon to have Simon fake his death and to release all this from beyond the grave, to take people out for judging him and being such a bad person to him. Then Jake murders Simon by taking all the EpiPens and making sure that Simon doesn't have his EpiPen on him as a revenge scheme against Addy. Why? Why? They clearly just wanted Jake to be the bad guy. Why would you change the whole story? Maybe they didn't want to try and discuss, Simon having committing suicide and all that sort of stuff. But it was like, was there a purpose to changing the entire story? I think not. To follow up with this, Jake gets shot at the end he dies at the end of it. So both Simon and Jake die. Which, why would you kill Jake? Why would you kill Jake? There's a whole action scene at the end that kind of mirrors what happens in the book, but instead of having Jake be arrested, they just shoot him. Just because, A big deal, Nate and Bronwyn had absolutely no chemistry. Like, there were a couple parts where like, ooh, they might kiss. Oh, but then they don't. Whoa. Like, the whole piano scene, the whole, like, hours and hours of conversations. There's a little bit of that with, like, the Netflix stuff, but they didn't quite convey it correctly, if you know. It's just, They do have the scene where he sends her a picture of the lizard. He's like, that sounded bad, here's a picture of the lizard. And it was like, that was cool. That was probably the only thing that was like, yeah, they're doing what they're supposed to with the book. But then it was just like, nothing happened until the last, like, 2 episodes, and then they're like, yes, they were in love the whole time. No. They were not. Ashton, who I feel like was kind of a big deal, she's just gone. Like, there is no sister. It's just Addy and her mom living together. And her mom's boyfriend is also non-existent. That's a minor difference. It didn't really change anything. It was just like, Ashton was kind of helpful in helping Addy become her own person, and I guess I guess if you're not having Addie become her own person, you don't need Ashton, but it was just like, really would have liked to see her there and see that relationship. It was just like helping to build the idea that their mom had put unnecessary pressure on them to date and get married directly after high school, and that was their only purpose, and it was just like, hey, I found my way, so now you can find your way. It could have been so much more if they hadn't just Control-Alt-Deleted her, you know? Like, the Murder Club's secrets, like, instead of having, like, a draft of a post that was gonna be posted to expose all of them, it was actually posted by Janae, who had wanted to hurt them or something. It was a whole thing. And it was just like, having the secrets be leaked by the police really helped in the long run to get them out of suspicion, to change the news and what everyone was thinking about them. A lot of main points that could have been there that would have added a lot to the story and made it more realistic that were like, that completely changed it from what the story originally was. Here's some just like general things I didn't like. I warned you, I did warn you I was gonna complain about it a lot. There are things coming that I liked, but this is just general things that I didn't like. Everyone looks at least 25. Maeve, who looks the youngest out of all of them, looks like a high school senior, if anything. It's just like, all of them look like they're in college or like mid-20s. How am I supposed to believe that all of these like 20-year-olds are high schoolers? I go to a high school. No one looks like that. I am generally, I don't mind too much language in the shows that I watch, but like, there was a lot. Like, someone told the writers that, oh yes, teenagers swear, and we're like, every other sentence is gonna contain the F word. And I was like, why? Like, yeah, I go to a high school. Teenagers swear a lot. But they don't swear that much, I assure you. No one's like, yeah, F this and F that, blah, 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 unless you're on, well, some people do, but most of the people don't. And also, it's just like, the way that they swore, they like overemphasized it. They're like, yes, we are hip and cool with the kids, we swear. Frick. It just really drove in the point that they were older than they were supposed to be. Teen show writers seem to have this problem where they like, with their wardrobe, they'll look up every single, like, the trendiest outfits, like the coolest thing that people could wear, and put all of the characters in it. I'm sorry to say that not every single person that goes to an American high school dresses up, like, to the extreme. Like, not everyone's wearing, like, all their jewelry and makeup to the best it can be, and perfect hair, and all that sort of stuff. No, not everyone's like that. Sure, there are people who are, but the majority of people just wear, like, t-shirt and jeans, or, like, if they're feeling really fancy, they'll throw on layer some stuff, turtleneck out under a t-shirt. It's like, whoa, way too much. The writing was just not good. It was just, like, they were trying really hard to be serious, and when people try really hard to be serious, it's like, we know you're trying. It's just not gonna go very well. My brother, he would walk in while I was watching at some point. He's like, it's funny, but they're not trying to be funny, so it's just bad. This is just like, maybe this was just my TV being funky, but like, the audio balance was really weirdly off. Like, I would have it as the volume as high as possible and have subtitles on and still trying to figure out what they were saying. And then the music was really loud. Like, all their background music and their random, like, noises, like any shuffling or stuff like that was really loud. Maybe that was just a me thing, and all of my devices were kind of funky, but I don't know. Or maybe Peacock just like that. Who knows? It just was bugging me the entire time. The character of Jake, they would say things like, oh yeah, he's such a douchebag, blah, 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 blah. But like, he really wasn't one until the last couple episodes. Maybe I just haven't been in a toxic relationship or been around those type of people, but I didn't see it. He seemed like he really loved Addie, and then she cheated on him, so he broke up with her. And he seemed like a chill dude until like the last 3 episodes, and then they like really, brought up how controlling he was and how much of a bad person he was. And that's what I thought he should have been the entire time. Like, if you read the book, the scene where they're going to the beach and he has her change into different clothes, or like the different times Addie says, like in her own personal dialogue, like, oh yeah, I'd have my hair like that if Jake didn't like my hair long. Just stuff like that would have made him seem much more controlling, rather than just in the last 3 episodes be like, no, wear the Halloween costume I want. Everyone around was just saying, oh yeah, he's such a bad person, but it's like, you couldn't really tell he was a bad person until the writers decided to make him one. Okay, now that I'm done complaining for however 30 minutes that I've been filming this, now I'm going to talk about the things that I did like. I know I complained a lot about the way that they changed the story, but if you separate the story of the show from the story of the book, I really did enjoy seeing how controlling Jake was. In that last episode, you get to see how Jake, really manipulates Simon, who, despite being this controlling guy with all these secrets, it really just shows that he is a teenager. He's a kid. He wants to have friends and he wants people to like him, and he really wants Jake to be his friend again, despite the fact that we all know what's gonna happen. We all know he's gonna kill him. It's just really, really sad, and it helps build that, you know, that narrative. That entire last episode, I was like, no! Simon, no! Simon, no! But I just really liked that. And also just the general characterization of Simon was really nice. Like, the fact that they made him into a person. In the books, they just kind of had him in the beginning as the omniscient guy who's, you know, kind of a slick weasel kind of guy. He's like, I know everything and everyone's gonna go down with me kind of guy. But I really liked how in the show they made him. Like, they showed that he had friends, that he liked people. He liked one of his teachers. He was trying to protect her. He would protect other people. It was just really nice to see that change, even though they changed the entire story to get that. I did enjoy the lighting and the cinematography. It was just a really pretty show. Like, I don't know how a show about this kid getting murdered after he spreads gossip, but the lighting was always really nice, in my opinion. The camera angles and all that sort of stuff just really helped to convey what was going on. The random times that the characters would look directly at the camera, that was like, oh shoot, stuff's gonna go down. It was just a really interesting way to show that, and I really enjoyed watching it. I didn't enjoy watching it, but I enjoyed watching it, if that makes any sort of sense. I know I made fun of the wardrobe a little bit, but I love how all the main characters have a distinctive style. Like, all of them. Bronwyn has the whole librarian look, Addy has her little popular girl alt kind of style, Cooper his jock, and then Nate being a bad boy kind of guy, and that was just really cool. Also Simon, his style was really distinctive too. I really like that, all his cool lock chain or whatever. And I would 100% wear any of Bronwyn's outfits. I like to call my own personal aesthetic librarian chic, so that explains a lot about me. Anyway, Stan, I loved Stan. They kept the bearded dragon. It was great. That whole scene where she sends like I said, the picture of the dragon to Bronwyn, that was excellent. Love that. And how, like, Nate talks to Stan, excellent. Love that. Stan, best character in the entire thing. And then finally, I thought they did Chris pretty well. I didn't mind the changes to his personality. I do wish they had built up, like in the book they build up, they're like try and act like Chris is a girl because of how Chris is spelled and all that sort of stuff. And they feel like they should have done that more in the book, but I thought that Chris had a really interesting personality. Thought it was a chill dude. Do I sound like I'm 80 years old? That was One of Us Is Lying. I don't know what exactly to say about the show. I would say if you haven't read the book, you can watch it. It's like Riverdale, but with a budget, is how I'm gonna describe it. And without, like, a cult, or what even is, I haven't kept up with the, whatever his face that does the summaries of Riverdale. I don't know but anyway, if that's something you're into, or if you've read the book and you don't care how accurate it is, then go ahead and watch it. There are some really cool things. There are also some really like, oh, why'd you do that kind of things, but overall, really interesting watch. Thank you so much for watching. I'm not sure how much of a schedule I'm going to be having in the next couple months. I'm just gonna kind of post videos as I can do them, but that's pretty much all I'm gonna be able to do. Thank you again so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe, like, comment, all the YouTube-y things. I have a TikTok and an Instagram. These are my new ones. Follow these ones. I do more book content on my TikTok. My Instagram will have more updates and stuff like that. So yeah, again, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next one whenever that happens. Toodles!